Welcome to the Backyard Professor Responds videos. Exciting news in the world of ufology. David Grusch, the whistleblower, and I understand properly, he's not a whistleblower himself, but he has interviewed over 40 people from the inside and shared their information in his 2023 discussion with Congress. And I want to talk about that as a news item. But before I do, let me say I have received Richard Dolan's first volume of A History of USOs, Unidentified Submerged Objects, Volume 1, beginnings to 1969. And I must say I am thrilled. I do want to read a small paragraph here that really I desire to say thank you to both Richard and his wife, Tracy. Speaking of his wife, he says, she was 100% supportive of me in this endeavor. And here are a few of her contributions. The idea of creating categories for each case as a quick guide for the reader was hers. It came after I had completed the first draft of all the cases for all 3 volumes. I wasn't excited about going back over the entire manuscript, reviewing each case in detail, and then extracting the relevant data for them, but I knew it was not just a good idea, but necessary. It took months to accomplish, but the result was well worth it. Indeed. You, in one of your video reviews, actually showed one of those charts and described it. That was a selling point that convinced me I'm buying your books. So thank you both, Richard and Tracy. Thank you, Richard, for listening to Tracy's wisdom. And thank you, Tracy, for sharing that with Richard. Because deeply appreciative, because it's so helpful. I love that part. And the idea of inserting a map for each case was another contribution of my wife's, something that came out in one of her many conversations. These 2 contributions alone made a real difference. I would like to show you, now, and I browsed the book. I just got it yesterday. I've been browsing it. I will do a thorough reading of this very cool text. This is just one example of what he's talking about. He describes the case. See that little red pin there? That is the area of the world that he's talking about. And there's the chart of the idea. And in each case, and he has wonderful color art in it. I like art. That's the way it is. Here's another instance. Ooh, let me see if I can get this spread out to where you can see the map and the discussion of the map. Thank you for doing that. It does contextualize and situate me as a reader into that part of the world so that I can imagine where I am. Am I up in the cold north? Am I near the equator where it's sultry, hot, rainforest stuff? Am I in the deserts of the United States? Am I in South Africa? Am I in the UK, etc.? These maps are simply delightful to show. There's another one. Where the event is taking place. I personally really think that's a good touch. So thank you for doing that. And if any of you know Richard, tell him that he's got a new, very serious admirer in the Backyard Professor. I will get a hold of him if I can, and I will try to get him on my show so that we can talk about this truly significant landmark research into an entire different angle of this phenomenon. Very fun, very interesting. He's keeping things stirred up. Speaking of keeping things stirred up, David Grusch has become involved in a new movie production, which is quite interesting. Now, in researching the various gossip columns, the various movie review newspapers, etc. I found 3 that are very cool, and I want to share them with you. Word spreads fast. None of these are more than a day old. This just came out yesterday, and the stories essentially are the same between all 3, but each one of them have a little bit of detail. I will just touch the main highlights. I want to read the main one, which is the big one, and then move to the other 2. I don't even know if I'll open them in that order. Anyway, let's take a look. So we have Joseph Kosinski's UFO whistleblower film sparks a 9-studio bidding war. This is big. This is big news. Following Top Gun Maverick and F1, Joseph Kosinski has now found his next project, and it's sparking the interest of multiple studios. The project is being described in pitches as a UFO disclosure themed take on All the President's Men, which is going to make it really cool because it's like a mystery, it's like a detective work, and that is exactly what we're finding with the whistleblowers and the people who are trying to solve this issue. This is a great way to do this. Kosinski will direct from a script by Zach Balin of King Richard fame, and King Richard was spectacular, man. Oh, that was awesome. I'm really glad Zach is writing the script, and with Jerry Bruckheimer is producing. These guys are huge. So, and this has sparked a bidding war. 9 studios, Amazon, Apple, Universal, Sony, Lionsgate, Paramount, and Warner Brothers in the mix. This is really cool. And it's escalating quickly and aggressively, we're told. Kosinski is said to be going for authenticity when he tells the studios about this. Here's one of the remarkable points is former United States Air Force officer and UFO whistleblower David Grusch has been acting as a consultant on this project. In 2023, Grusch testified before Congress that the government has been studying the spacecraft and bodies of aliens while also suppressing the information from reaching the public. And that is really interesting. Grusch, of course, appeared on Joe Rogan podcast, and they give the link to that here, and come to your own conclusions as to whether Grusch is full of shite or is legitimately telling the truth about what could potentially be one of the most significant government cover-ups in all of history. And then they go on to talk about the different works that these people have done. I won't worry about that information. This is from the World of Real. Let me go to the next one. This is out of Deadline. Yeah, we've got it. Okay, this is from Deadline. This is the most extensive story. Joseph Kosinski and Jerry Bruckheimer eyeing a re-team on the UFO disclosure themed feature. Here are the 2 gentlemen right there, Joseph Kosinski and Jerry Bruckheimer. Following collaborations on smash hit Paramount sequel, get this, these guys worked on Top Gun, Maverick, and the forthcoming Formula One picture, F1 with Brad Pitt. Apple and Warner Brothers director Joseph Kosinski and producer Jerry Bruckheimer are eyeing a re-team on a hot new package out to the town. It isn't titled yet, but it's akin to a UFO disclosure themed take on All the President's Men. This was the classical 1976 political thriller from Alan J. Pakula. At least 9 bids for the project are showing up by several prominent producers and studios. Kosinski will direct from a script by Zach Balin, the Oscar-nominated scribe behind The Order and King Richard. And Bruckheimer is going to be producing this little baby. David Grusch, a former U.S. Air Force intelligence officer and Pentagon whistleblower, he gained attention in 2023, claiming the U.S. government's involvement in unidentified aerial phenomena research, will executive produce and serve as a consultant on the project. Grusch is going to be the executive producer. Very interesting. Once a niche, easy to dismiss topic. UAPs, now formerly UFOs, Well, they've moved from the fringes of conspiracy theories into mainstream discussion in recent years. This is due to the declassified military footage and government acknowledgement. Part of the shift in perception came with the 2017 reporting from the New York Times. This revealed the existence of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, a group at the Pentagon tasked with investigating UAPs. In subsequent years, the U.S. Department of Defense has confirmed the authenticity of several declassified Navy videos showing fast-moving objects that pilots could not identify. Congressional hearings in 2022 and 2023 further legitimized the topic, with intelligence officials emphasizing national security concerns. Grusch himself spoke out in 2023, and he asserted that the U.S. government had been secretly recovering and studying the non-human craft. And of course, this sparked tremendous public interest. And then they go on to discuss more of the qualifications of these gentlemen. And finally, let me see if I can get this last one. I think it had a kind of a cool, this is the Hollywood Reporter, UFO conspiracy thriller from Joseph Kosinski, Jerry Bruckheimer ignites bidding war. There they are. They're reunited in this. A solar system's worth of companies are vying for the package. That includes scribe Zach Balin, the writer whose credits include Will Smith's King Richard, Creed 3, and last year's Jude Law white supremacist thriller, The Order. Amazon, Apple, Lionsgate, Paramount, and Warner Brothers are looking to be the ones to get the work. Little is known about the piece. How they're describing it is as All the President's Men, only with the subject of UFOs. We don't know the budget range just yet, but it's seeking a green light per one source. No stars have been selected yet, so we don't know who's going to be in the movie itself. So part of the appeal is the veneer of authenticity to the pitch. And this is where David Grusch comes in. He is acting as a consultant on the project. 2023, he testified before Congress that the government is already studying the spacecraft and bodies of aliens while suppressing leaks. So the pairing of Kosinski and Bruckheimer has clearly beamed up major success in the past. They've done the 1986 Top Gun. This surpassed the $1.4 billion global mark. It collected 6 Oscar nominations with a win for Best Sound. Oh, and that was too, man. I love that soundtrack. That was awesome, man. The Tom Cruise vehicle helped heat up the careers of co-stars Glenn Powell, Miles Teller, and current Oscar nominee Monica Barbaro, and it was credited as helping to save the exhibition business coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. On David Grusch, people were somewhat wondering, well, he testified in 2023 before Congress, and then we didn't hear a lot about him. Where'd he go? What's he been doing? Now, of course, they attacked him ridiculously and tried to smear his good name and discredit him all they could. They put him through a living hell. So, of course, he laid low and he's protecting his family. This is exactly why we, the American public, need to get Congress the power to subpoena people onto the witness stand so that they can find out the actual truth and give protection to people like David Grusch, so this kind of stupid crap does not happen to someone who wants to tell the truth instead of lie about it and hide it. And so this is why it's important for we American citizens to be involved. Right. That has been my advocacy ever since I started this several months ago, and I will continue pushing for that. And so, good news, interesting. Let me know what you guys think. I can't help but think it is a positive step. And if for no other reason, because more people knowing this subject, more people coming to an understanding that there really is great intrigue and there is really great problems involved with it. And yet we, the American people, have a right to know. The world has a right to know. The United States Black Ops or the government or whoever it is that's keeping all of this from everybody, the entire world, absolutely is illegal. Now, this involves, of course, the security of the nation. We don't argue against that, of course. We understand there are some secrets to keep. But the idea of UFOs and aliens and all of that is not one of those. So I personally view this as a positive step forward. Now, the other cool thing is this dovetails, or it could, depending on, how fast production occurs. But we've heard just recently that Steven Spielberg is also doing another UFO movie. And so this steady drumbeat, this steady pulse of information, this steady discussion of ET, of UAP, we have a NHI, a non-human intelligence who are among us, who are with us on this planet. Some people think they are evil. Some people think they are good. The discussion of the philosophy, of the history, of the intention of this alien species can be nothing but good, in my opinion. The more that is brought forward, and you say, well, yeah, but is movies the best avenue? Yes, in this respect. And I'll just say it because I think the majority of us realize that we've been dumbed down almost as a world. And our education systems are flagging. They are not as up to date and crisp as they were in Albert Einstein's era. Back then, different nations could get together. The scientists, the sociologists, the mathematicians, the philosophers, the physicists. It was an international effort, and it did nothing but bring forward our extra knowledge. Unfortunately, we use that knowledge for an evil purpose, to kill. And ever since then, we have been dumbed down more or less. Our education standards are slowly losing their power, so that people are not as apt to research the physics, to research the mathematics, let alone the history, or even the sociology, the religious implications, etc., as they would much rather go to a movie. So put the information in front of people where they will go learn it, hence the movies. Now, if they will do this right and accurately, what I would hope, and this is just me, it may not make it a bestseller movie. On the other hand, it may make it absolutely global, worldwide, have to watch. I would hope that somehow the movie can engage the audience enough to really make you mad at the evil that is being perpetuated upon humanity through the secrecy, through the lies, the deception, and the power hunger and the greed. You're making entire nations starve to death while you continue raking in hundreds of billions of dollars that cannot be accounted for. And no one is held to accountability. Things like that can generate in people a desire to say, just what the hell is going on here? It puts a seed, right? And there could be several thousands, hundreds of thousands, we're hoping hundreds of millions of people who watch these up and coming UFO movies. We're hoping it puts a seed of, man, is that actual? I want to look into this. I want to find that out, because we are getting the search capability. It's rather much easier now to find information online than using a card catalog in a library and then going and having to look through a book and read a book. I get that. Online resources in that respect, and they're continually developing and updating and upgrading, etc. And you still have to be careful. I mean, just because it's in a book printed doesn't make it true, right? Okay, well, just because it's online in an article doesn't make it true. And so you still have to use your discrimination. But I think getting this kind of information out in a popular format, a movie, is very valuable because so many people don't read anymore. In fact, they get mad at people who want to write a book about their life experience. And I think that's fabulous. They've gotten to where they call them all grifters, as if that justifies them being ignored. It does not. That's just a simple, cheap, lazy label for those who don't want to do the work themselves and read the texts themselves and learn about them. I've seen Richard Dolan called a grifter. Shame on you who call him a grifter. He is a scholar. There's a vast difference there. Well, he writes books for money. No shit, Sherlock. Where did you finally grow a brain cell and figure that one out? Of course he writes books for money. He's got the knowledge. He has a website that he gets paid for per views. No kidding, cowboy. Welcome to the real world. You know, the negativity against people who are trying to get the information out to a mass audience in whatever form, YouTube, articles, books, films, movies, I applaud that. If it's actual good information and not hypertensioned fantasy and wild speculation and just over sensationalized silliness, then that is an expanding of our capability. That empowers us, because the more knowledge we acquire, the wiser we can be in our choices, the wiser we can be in our decision making of what to do and what not to do. And so I myself welcome this. Now, there are probably very good reasons why this can be problematic. You're welcome to put them in the comments. That's true. I may be completely out to lunch. I'm well aware of that. Yes. But from my, and I am an optimist, and that's my bias. So see, I'm seeing something that in a way tickles my own bias, and so I probably like it for that reason, as opposed to being opposed to it, right? Well, that doesn't mean I'm right, you see. This is what is called a discussion. Well, no more talk, just evidence. I myself have said that to those who claim they have the evidence. Now, Richard Dolan has never went and retrieved a crashed UFO vehicle. That is not his strength. His strength is his magnificent grasp of the history of actual cases that verifies the reality of the UFOs. and now the USOs. Just because he has not gone deep sea diving and grabbed a craft and put it up into a museum does not mean his book is bullshit. Those people who think that way, you're grossly misunderstanding the whole context. This is the evidence also. There isn't just one kind that's valid and all the rest are suspect. No, that's simplistic thinking. That's black and white thinking. I myself find Richard Dolan to be an absolute breath of fresh air. And no, I'm not getting paid to advertise his book. He hasn't asked me to say a thing. He doesn't know me from Adam. I'm saying that because I've read some of his other books and they were fabulous. This one, oh, now I can't find it. Well, anyway, you know which one. The one about the 21st century mind and UFOs. Absolutely the best overview of the whole phenomenon I've ever read. Very excellent text. Diane Pasulka is another one. Jacques Vallée is another one. Gary Nolan with the Soul Foundation. Those people are starting to kick out very interesting science papers and an analysis from that angle. Danny Sheehan is bringing in the academia as well as he can. Well, so is Gary Nolan, etc. All of that is fundamentally crucial to presenting to the rest of the world that this is a valid piece of information. This is actually a valid way that's going to change our lives, and we best prepare for it. And so that's why I'm so excited for these movies coming out. So thanks for watching my Backyard Professor Responds videos. I will be back with more as I find it. I hope you guys have a fantastic night. Remember, be good, do well, have fun, make lots of friends, keep smiling. It makes people wonder what you're doing. And sometimes that's a lot of fun to do. Make people mad by being so happy and kind. That's also fun to do. All right, I will catch up to you.